Hey everybody. I wanted to go over the results of the LLM testing that we did over the last couple of months. We were testing a bunch of different LLMs to do some styling on this blog post page that I had. And I went ahead and applied a final version of it to the main webpage, and you can see it working here. So I took the styles from the DeepCoder, and you can see that the theme works. If I go forward and I change it, go back, it stays and it doesn't pop with the light theme and then go to the dark theme. It just stays in the theme that it was each time through. So I'm really happy with the end result that I've gotten from the work on this experiment. But what I wanted to do in this video was kind of show what I did to judge the LLM results, and then what I did to put together the final for this website. So what I will do is I will start by looking at the the rankings. Well, actually, let me go back real quick. If I go to here, I've added a blog post styling blog post. So getting a little bit meta here. If I go into there, it talks about a bit about the results. DeepCoder was the winner with a runner-up of 2-3, and I have some information about how I went about doing those rankings here. I go to this page. So what I did was I took each of the branches and I created a patch file for them using these commands. So I looked at all my branches and I ran a git diff main to the branch, and I made a diff file out of each of those. And then what I could do is I could use those to compare to each other using the LLMs to see which ones the LLMs thought were the best. Um, Once I had those patches, I also had to go and modify my continue settings, because whenever I started, I would ask it about one of the patches, and continue would say that I've gone over the context limit, which I didn't think I did. A lot of the models have like 131,000 token context limit, but continue didn't seem to recognize that. So after doing some research, I found that what I needed to do was set this context length value to something higher so that it would be able to make use of the whole context length. Um, Something else I found while doing this, though, was that each LLM has a different context length that it's built to. So if I looked at, let's go here, let's do Gemma 27. I can see here that my context length is only 8100, not anywhere close to 100,000. So even if I had set this context length up high like this, Gemma wasn't going to be able to make use of it. So what I did, I went ahead and decided to only use continue to judge the patches with an LLM that had a long enough context length. So if I do this again for show llama, I can see that it's got a context length of 131,000. So I basically did a show for each one, and if it did not have a long enough one, I decided that I wasn't going to use it. So this one uh, only had 81,000 or 8100 context length, so I skipped it, but I left it out there to view. Um, but then you can also see that what I did, I ran the show. I wrote down what the context length was, and then I also wrote down what the RAM usage was. Because in addition to uh, setting this ollama show to 100, or not the ollama show, setting the context length to 100,000 also increased the amount of RAM regardless of the question that I was asking the LLM. at that point, and I can show you what I mean here. If I run the PS right now, empty. If I go to let's just ask this one something. All right, so we're on to, let's pick a smaller one. Let's say, well, I think, yeah, Tulu should be fine. Can you review? Just give it this agenda file. I'll give it that. And ollama PS again. And you can see even whenever it's got a very small agenda file, it thinks that it needs all that room. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you're setting this continue context length value. So once I did that, I came up with a process by which I would do the judging. And you can kind of see that here, the latter results. So you can see that I gave each LLM a anonymized name, both a male and a female name. Originally, I tried just saying patch 1 and patch 2 and so on, but it always assumed that the later patch number was the latest and would say that that one won. So I went ahead and tried it with names to kind of get rid of that feeling of incremental uh, progress. And then I also wanted to see if there was any kind of a gender bias to the answers that were coming out or anything like that. And then I would ask the same question each time with just different patches in it. And you could see what some of those results looked like. So in this case, we're looking at llamas, and it's saying what's good and what's bad, and which one it would choose over the other. And I would just take this answer and put it in as the winner. So if we look down here, we can see the results. Most of the time, the DeepCoder one, and I went ahead and aggregated some of these things down here, so you're free to look through these answers or the results of what it was saying about each patch. But in aggregate, it was saying the DeepCoder won the most, and DeepSeek and Tulu won once each, but DeepSeek had more runners up. Uh, and then my personal winners were Tulu 3 for its speed and lack of mistakes, and then DeepCoder for its style and structure. So what I did once I had those answers, I started from the DeepCoder branch and I pulled in, it was the Tulu branch that had the seamless theme transition. Whenever I went from one page and back and to the next one, it didn't have that flickering. So I decided to take the DeepCoder uh, branch and I pulled the Tulu 3 JavaScript file over, and then I asked Tulu to get those straightened out. So if I came over here, I looked at, let's see, go back to main, LLM usage history. So yeah, I guess these are the conversations that I had with Tulu, asking it to pull it back. So yeah, I guess taking the combination of both gave me the best results, at least in my mind. This is the one that looked nicest to me and had the most seamless transitions to it. So let's see, what else should I say in here? I think that covers everything that I wanted to say. So yeah, I guess I had a pretty good time making this happen. It did kind of lull in the middle, but overall, I think I learned something about working with the LLMs. Um, I guess I guess I learned more how to give it the context that I needed, and maybe I learned something also just about styles and CSS and JavaScript, and but probably not nothing that's going to stick. But to be fair, nothing really stuck whenever I worked through this by hand without an AI either. It was always something that I would do, and about 2 weeks later I would forget, and then I'd have to go back and learn again. So I don't feel like the AI is necessarily robbing me of anything that was going to stick the whole time. You know? um, but I feel like going through the process allowed me to think about how to problem solve, and that's the part that really sticks with me after I've done a programming project, not necessarily the syntax or the patterns or uh, the exact code to get what I wanted, but the process of learning how to get to the code that I wanted. So, like I always say, it's not so much about being smart as it is being persistent. And that's what I wanted to share about what I did here. I guess we will find out what experiment we'll do next time. So thanks. I hope you all had a good time. Talk to you later on.